I last spoke on how God delivered the Israelites out of Egypt, but they didn't experience true freedom because freedom is not a change of location, but it's a change of the heart. And another aspect that caused them not to experience freedom is that they failed to trust God, and hence they wandered in the desert for 40 good years. For your heart to change, it means that you have to believe, to trust, and have faith in the one in whom true freedom exists. And as I said at the beginning of the series, true freedom only exists in Jesus. Like the Israelites, the reason we don't fully trust in God is because we have idols. We want to hold on to things that we think give us true sense of freedom, but in essence, we become enslaved to these things. Walking in freedom requires us to lay down our idols, the things that we put our hope in, and trust God. In this video, I'll be sharing on how I've laid down my idols and trusted God. After reading from that beautiful piece of paper, now I can talk to you screen to screen because I'll be sharing on how I've laid down my idols and trusted God. Firstly, I am a netball player, retired, at least for this time being. I don't know what plans God still has for me, but I'll still get back to playing like competitively or just like socially. So I've played netball since 2000, so it's been a long time, and great accomplishments. I've gone to places with netball. It has really opened doors for me. 2018, that's the first time that I actually realized that netball was such a big idol. I went to this sports camp and my perspective changed and my life was never the same again, just realizing how like my whole identity was in netball. I tried to get my approval, acceptance, and everything else in this beautiful sport. So if I have a good game, then I'm on top of the world. Everybody loves me, everybody's cheering me on. But the moment I don't perform as good, then there was no applause, right? And so it's just like up and down emotions. So there was like really a downside for me. Secondly, I studied law. I didn't really enjoy law in my undergrad. But then I remember 2015, when I was in second year, the Lord showed me that I was gonna be doing ministry in the future. But then at that point, I was like, God, I'm ready to leave law school right now and actually join the missions field. But God was like, nah, child, you don't know anything. And so I completed my undergrad. And God opened a door for me to do my master's and as well play netball. So that was such a huge blessing. And so when I started doing my master's, that's when I actually started enjoying law. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I'd want to do within the law field. And so like I was now looking at other scholarships to do a doctorate and just further my studies and stuff like that. And it was at that point where I started looking at law as like an idol, like as a God, where it's like, yes, my life is gonna change for the good, I'm gonna thrive in this field and whatnot. And I was trying to find out joy and identity in it and be like, yeah, when I do this, people are gonna hold me at a higher standard and whatnot. And so that was like around 2019. So 2019, I was serving at this one camp, and during me serving, God was like, Benji, I want you to lay down law. I wasn't ready for that. And I think for like a good 15-30 minutes, I was wrestling with God. Like I was ready second year 2015. Now only when you see me thriving and wanting to do something with this law thing, you are like, I should lay it down. It's not happening. But after a few minutes, I realized I'm actually not going to win this battle. And I was like, okay, fine, God, you win. And so I kind of, so that was 2019. By August that same year, God was like asking me, not asking, asking like, Benji, I want you to lay down netball. I was never ready for that. I was like, you first took law, now you want to take netball. Are you kidding me? So that took a good month and a half or so, like, of wrestling. I was just like, no fam, you are not, I'm not going to do this. This is not how you take away everything from me. And mind you, the beginning of 2019, I took a walk and the Lord was like, Benji, who are you? And I was like, man, okay, I'm Benji. I study law, I play netball, and that was it, and God was like, if those things are removed, who are you then? And I had no answer. Kanti, God was probably just preparing me for what was to come that year. And so, like, after a month and a half of wrestling, of me laying down netball, I was like, okay, God, you win again. So I played my last game and I got the biggest injury I've ever had in my whole entire netball career. But then the truth is, I've never felt more free. Your netball was, it had entangled, my life. And so, that's just kind of how I've got to a place of trusting God with my life and being like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen next, where I'm gonna be at. Like, I've laid down the law, I've laid down netball, things that have given me identity and purpose, and have kind of shaped the journey that I was working in, sort of like career-wise now. And yeah, that's how I came to lay down law. Right now, you might be thinking, oh, what are you doing with your life now since everything else was taken away? God has now called me into full-time ministry. Remember, as I said, now 2015, that's when the Lord showed me I was going to be doing ministry. So only last year, 2020, he was like, okay, Benji, you are ready now to join the missions field. And honestly, that was the day before my birthday, and it was the best day of my life, because I felt like, gosh, I've graduated, like, God, you see me worthy to serve you in such a capacity. And it took like 5 good years of preparation for me to get to that place. So like the Israelites, like, God could have like taken away these idols or the things that have enslaved me, and I still chose not to trust him and kind of do my own thing and still not experience true freedom. So as for you to continue to walk in freedom, you need to continue trusting and laying down the things that you are putting your hope and faith in. And so now I am here doing ministry, and I've never been more satisfied. I've never been more free, just doing what God has called me and being in the place that God has called me. So like for the Israelites, if they just needed to continue trusting God. From them being delivered out of Egypt to them entering the promised land, that would have been such a beautiful, smooth transition. But then it took like 40 years for them to enter the promised land, because in between they stopped trusting God, that hey, the one that has called them out and took them out of that enslavement was faithful to bring them to the place where he was calling them. So I'm just currently learning to trust God and being in the place that he is calling me to, because as I said, I'm trusting in him. And I'm just so satisfied and free, because now the heart has changed. Idols have been laid down. So I hope this encourages you and blesses you, and just to see as well what areas in your life are you trusting in something else than God.